We get into anything, I do want to mention these three things, okay? Because these three things, in my opinion, make this one of the most challenging Call of Duties we've ever had to be consistent with and do well on with a sniper rifle. Number one is there's no aim assist or target assist or auto aim or whatever you guys want to call it on the sniper rifles on this game. On the SDM, which is a semi-auto, there is aim assist. On the KOSHKA, on the PALADIN, and the OUTLAW, there is no aim assist. There is nothing helping you lock onto that target, nothing assisting you, nothing swaying your scope to make sure you lock onto that target. So at the time I'm making this video, there is no target assist on those three main bolt action sniper rifles. So point number two is probably one of the most important things I need to say today, okay? And that is centering is off center. So in previous Call of Duties, you were hard aiming a bullseye, you lined it up perfectly right in the middle of your screen, and then you unscoped and scoped back in. As soon as your scope hits the screen, the bullseye would still be the center of your scope, all right? And then obviously it would sway, lose that center, but if you scope out and then scope back in again, it would still be centered on that bullseye as soon as your scope hits. On Black Ops 4, they threw that out the window, okay? And if you line up that bullseye once again right in the middle and then unscope and scope back in, it is slightly off center every single time. If you look at your look, unfortunately, you can't counter that by trying to hold your breath as you're scoping in. It doesn't work on this game. So the only thing I figured out that does help is using stabilizer. Stabilizer is an attachment you can get on some of the sniper rifles, and once using this, it actually reduces the sway and actually reduces the sway out of the gun. So if you do center that bullseye once again and you scope in on that bullseye, it should be close, you know, not perfect, but close enough to the bullseye where it's a pretty accurate shot. And finally, point number three actually follows on nicely from point number two. Now they've actually added recoil to the sniper that moves the centered point higher every single time. In previous Call of Duties, if you lined up your horizontal crosshairs on let's say a plank of wood, okay, and you fired your sniper rifle, once the gun was done recoiling, it would then, you know, level off back at that plank of wood. Those horizontal crosshairs would level up back where you started. On this game, however, if you level off those horizontal crosshairs at a plank of wood again and you fire your sniper rifle, that horizontal crosshair, that line, I guess you would say, is then higher, okay? You fire that gun again, it's higher again. If you're then shooting and you're moving and everything, you've got to be constantly pulling that down, because every time you shoot, your gun starts aiming higher and higher and higher. We will talk about sensitivity and centering, okay? And in my opinion, I can't stress this enough, okay? You can't have good centering without a comfortable sensitivity. You're never going to be able to center someone. You're never going to be able to move from point A to point B to lock onto that target if your sensitivity is either too high or too low. So mastering that sensitivity, getting something that you feel comfortable with, is the most important thing you can do, okay? In my opinion, starting off low and working your way up is the best way to do it. I'm actually on 9-9. With the lack of aim assist, with the lack of target assist in your scope, you need to have something that you can control, and in my opinion, a 9-9 is perfect for me. I feel comfortable in my scope to be able to drag over someone and know when to shoot. Outside of my scope, I have enough time to turn around and quick scope someone or move around the map and feel comfortable with it. Maybe play some bots, go into some private matches, work your way up those sensitivities, find something that you feel comfortable with and you can master the timing of, okay? You need to master the timing of how long you think it's going to take you to go from point A to looking over to point B, okay? And hopefully, once you've locked down that sensitivity, you will then realize centering, you know, getting someone in the middle of your crosshairs before you're scoping in. It just happens, you know, it's natural. I think a lot of people think that's kind of a challenge, you know, I don't have enough time to do that. The game's fast paced, it's too crazy, I can't do that. But if you have a natural sensitivity that you feel comfortable with, I promise you, okay, I promise you, you'll have enough time to be looking over there, to then hear a guy over there, to look and snap on him before you scope in. So as we're kind of talking about shot types and stuff like that, let's talk about jump shotting, okay? Jump shotting, as you can tell by now if you played the game a lot, is the new meta. A lot of people jump shotting, a lot of people sliding, you know, using cover and stuff like that. It's crazy. The movement is insane on this game. It's a very challenging thing to kind of counter, and I think you need to learn how to do it yourself to learn how to play against it. A lot of people do jump around in the middle of nowhere just to kind of dodge bullets and stuff like that and throw off your opponent, and that is helpful in a lot of ways, but in reality, the main reason you want jump shotting is to use it behind cover. Cover is your best friend in this game, okay? A lot of people think the time to kill is slow, but if you have a sniper rifle and you're just a sitting duck in the middle of nowhere, if you miss one bullet, okay, you're dead. You need to use cover, you need to be smart, you need to be good with the movement, you need to be quick, you need to be getting away from different situations, and knowing how to jump shot just kind of makes it all better. So, in reality though, jump shotting is very challenging if you have the default controller with a default button layout. You have to take your thumb off the analog stick to click jump to then put it back on, and you're sacrificing aim. Even though you think that movement might be quite quick, you've sacrificed those split seconds from holding that aim, holding that angle to click jump to then go back on and kind of line up the guy again. So it's a very challenging thing to do on a normal controller with a normal setup. So with that being said, I want to talk about my specific loadout, the control I use, the settings I use, stuff like that, and then I'll recommend some others if this is not something that's going to be an option for you. To start things off, I use a Scuf gaming controller, and what's perfect about the Scuf controllers is the little paddles on the back. Those paddles are kind of remapped to any of those buttons on the front face of your controller. I think they can do. They're an incredible company, and I highly recommend them. There is also 2 button layouts in the game that allow you to change that jump button to a different button on the controller. So rather than being X, you can have bumper jumper, which changes it to the bumpers, and then you can have stick and move, which actually changes. Now, let's talk about how to counter people who jump shot, because like I said, you need to know how to do that kind of thing, because if you don't, playing someone like that, you don't know how they think. You need to read the situation, and everything is situational on this. One thing I can say about this game, though, is we don't have to worry about drop shotting, okay? At the moment, there's nothing really in the game to help with drop shotting. I think there might be an attachment on a gun, or maybe there's a perk or something, but in reality, drop shotting isn't really a part of the meta. What you do need to worry about, though, is people jumping and people sliding, because they made the movement so fluid that you can jump shot into a slide, into a jump, and it's so hard for you to kind of keep control of where they're going. So because of that, you have to be quick to react. You know, if someone's jump shotted a lot, you have to be quick to react, to flick your shot up and make sure you don't shoot them in the toe, otherwise you're not going to get that one-shot kill. But at the same time, you don't want to be predicting that guy's going to jump, because what if he slides? You have to pull your shot all the way back down. If you're playing a team that don't really jump shot a lot or slide a lot, then you're good. You know, all you have to worry about is the flinch that you get from being shot. And all you have to do for that is, if you're getting shot a lot, if you feel like you're downing your scope a lot and you're getting flinched, you just have to pull that shot down as you're getting shot. Or you can kind of wait for that flinch to stop and kind of time it, so by the time the scope does center back down again, you can take the shot. So they made it so crazy on this game that, yeah, it's going to be tough to hit that shot. So in terms of the jump shot and the sliding, there's a couple of ways in my eyes you can kind of counter that. Keep it a certain body part level on your line of sight, you know, the crosshairs or whatever. You want to keep this specific, you know, high torso area, this high chest area, the place to be. To be honest, I know that kind of seems obvious because you want to be aiming there anyway, but it's kind of keeping that level and keeping that consistent level every time you see someone. So if you're running up a hill, you need to keep that level there. If you're running down a hill or you're climbing something, keeping that high torso area as your centered point is going to be crucial if you're coming up against someone who's sliding a lot, or, you know, or jumping a lot. And at the same time, the way I kind of counter jump shotting now is to jump shot back. In reality, if they're jump shotting, their gun's going to go higher, and if you're jump shotting, you're going to go higher. So if you keep your crosshairs level of that higher torso area, if you jump as well as they're jumping, it's going to stay there, okay? So you don't have to worry about shooting them in the toe. If you jump shot to counter their jump shot, then you're going to be hitting them where you're going to be aiming. So it's keeping that level, keeping that centered point on their chest, on their heart point, whatever it may be, to make sure if they do slide, you can bring it down a tiny bit, pop them in the head, usually how it goes. So because of the crazy fast movement, you know, the intense gameplay that you can get on this game, it's going to be very, very common and very likely that you come across someone who's already moving, who's running across the screen, who's sliding across the screen. And even though that guy's not even looking at you, that is a very challenging shot, because you've already toned down your sensitivity, okay? So to try and lock on that guy who's already running, to try and lock on to his current location, and then obviously by the time you scope in, he's already ahead of that, you need to then pull your shot across, and most of the time, you're not going to catch him, okay? He's fast. Your sensitivity is most likely too low, so you need to learn how to lead your shot, okay? Leading your shot is basically picking a point ahead of that person that'll give you enough time to scope in and line up that shot, you know, keep it body level or whatever it may be, keeping that centered point ahead of that guy, so by the time your scope hits that screen, he's crossing over your path, crossing over your scope, and then you can just fire away, okay? You need to learn how to lead that shot, and that is just down to, like I said, knowing your sensitivity. So in regards to all the shot types I mentioned earlier, you know, we've got quick scoping, hard scoping, no scoping, drag scoping, even jump shotting, okay? You need to incorporate all of those into your playstyle, okay? There's a lot of inconsistency on this game with sniping. Like I said, the off-center, the flinch, you know, the kickback, everything. So sometimes you need to quick scope. Sometimes you need to hard scope. Maybe there's a guy at the back of the map and you just try to be fancy with it. Just make sure you get that kill, okay? Sometimes you need to no scope. And there might even be times where you're trying to wall peek someone and they've got cover on you, or they've got the advantage, and you don't have time to peek around the corner, center the guy, and then scope in. So you have to drag scope. You have to start scoping in to the right of them and then pull the shot around the corner. Like, there's so many situations where using every little shot type, building them all together, bringing a streak together is the perfect way to do it, okay? So to keep yourself alive on this game. There's nothing wrong with playing defensive some lives. There's nothing wrong with playing super aggressive some lives. Like, if you feel confident, then go for it. So just incorporate all those different things. Use every little thing you can to your potential, and that's going to help you get those streaks, get those clips, or whatever you're trying to get in terms of sniping gameplay on this game. Everybody's going to have their own playstyle. Everybody's going to have their own way of playing the game. I'll keep going back and healing and then challenging. Like, that's my playstyle. I'm aggressive. I'm fast-paced. But for some people, that isn't the way to go. Some people play defensive. They're stronger, they're more accurate when they're slowing things down and going at their own pace, and that's what it's all about. A lot of people always give the advice is don't get caught sprinting, okay? Don't sprint around the map a lot, but after playing the game a lot and using the movement and using the sprinting and the slide and stuff like that, I don't think it actually makes too much of a difference with a sniper rifle, because there's no actual perk. I don't think Gunko actually helps you bring your scope up quicker after sprinting. If you click aim while you're sprinting, it takes the same amount of time as you clicking aim when you're not sprinting. Yeah, obviously you don't want to get caught sprinting anyway, because